We are live. Hello. Welcome to Jalapeno Milk. I'm Mecca McCheese, and today I'm joined by Skinny of the Needle Movers Society. You might recognize Skinny from the new show that he and I are doing together called I Kinda Believe. And today we're just going to sit down, have a drink together, talk about the latest happenings, talk about Ralph, and whatever else we can come up with. But give me just a moment to set my end up over here to keep an eye on the chat. And Skinny, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to those who may not know?
Oh yeah. Well, most people who'd watch this would know, but those that don't, I'm Skinny, aka Matthew Veely. I have a criminal record. Some people will probably tell you that. I'm guilty of everything that every normal, fucking average American person does. I like to drink. I like to have fun. I like to make jokes, and a lot of people don't like jokes these days. But that will never stop me. Ever. Did you, while you're getting ready, I want to just throw this topic out there. But some people are claiming that Karen is now like some kind of hate speech, slur or whatever.
Yeah, give me just a second. Go ahead and keep talking on that. I have to let the cat out of the bag.
Oh. Pussy is nothing but problems, people. I will tell you that much. But no, for anybody who's actually watching, they're trying to claim Karen is like hate speech or derogatory slur, which it is. But it's like all these people standing up for it, and they're like, yeah, it is a bad word. It's like the N word or whatever. And it's basically like I tweeted about this earlier, but I think somebody needs to make an archive because right now all the Karens are outing themselves, and we need to compile a list.
We need a Karen tracker. So
we need to say that for all of our single brothers too, man. Like they could use that list, like the no-fly zone.
Well, I'd say no-fly zone is Twitter 100%, full stop. Just don't go on Twitter looking for a girlfriend. Probably.
People do that. That never like I've used dating sites and hell, I met my wife on a dating site.
Yeah.
But I would never ever look to Twitter to like hook up. That's retarded.
Well, how would you know where these people are?
That's why that's why it's retarded.
I won't drive 30 minutes to go see a girl.
Especially with the knowledge about, MTV even had that show Catfishing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much common knowledge at this point is what catfishing is. You really don't have to.
That's like seeing the pool that the catfish are on and then doing like a cannonball into it. Like, let me see what I could get myself messed up in.
I'd like to meet somebody who like thinks that Twitter is the happening place to try to hook up. I want to meet this person and I want to see why they do what they do. I'm intrigued. I want to study them.
There's like a lot of thirsty dudes on Twitter, as you know, I'm a pretty big fan of Nico Lowell.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah. She's in case you don't know who that is, Nico Lowell is the Bernie girl. What's that? How does the song go? Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, she just sings "Okay, Boomer" the whole time, and she's smiling and dancing around, and it's pretty wonderful, honestly.
Yeah, I don't endorse her politics. I don't probably endorse any idea that she probably has because it's probably retarded. But I do endorse her being in my bed.
Well, I endorse her making whatever content she wants, and if she's going to support Bernie Sanders, she might be the only person that would get me to listen. But
yeah, I got no problem with good-looking women shaking it on the internet, man.
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to vote for Bernie, that's fine with me because he's not going to get anywhere. But that's. But you were saying, so Karen came up. I think I saw it last night. Actually, somebody was saying that it's sexist, it's ableist, it's ageist, it's all these factors. So that makes it a.
Epithet. It's the big one.
It's the big one.
The white women gotta have their word too.
Yeah, but white women are also out there saying, you can't be racist against white people. But
Yeah.
now they've been so offended because people have hit the nail on the head with this thing
Yeah.
that they want to claim it as some kind of you can't use this word against me. It hurts too much.
Why go after that? Why not just go after bitch?
Bitch.
Yeah.
Who knows,
You would
man?
think, like, if women really had their pick, because I know some of them get stirred up when, you say cunt and twat.
Right.
That's why I like to say those words. But I also watch a lot of British comedy. I did growing up too. Watching stuff from BBC on like PBS.
Mm-hmm.
So those words really never, I don't know. They're popular words over there.
Yeah, and they definitely have a different
But out of all
flavor,
the
maybe.
phrases to go after, why go after Karen? I mean,
Because
now
it's effective.
I'm just waiting for a bunch of dudes like with profile pics of Monster drinks and stuff. You're like, Kyle is ageist.
It's ableist.
Yeah.
Well, what is a Kyle?
Well, aren't Kyles like those fucking, just fuckboy Kyles, like the guys who are always like drinking Monster and like they're skinny, like me, except I'm not a Kyle. I don't act like one, but they always have this chip on their shoulder and act like they're hot shit in a wine glass when they're actually just cold diarrhea in a Dixie cup.
Maybe perpetrators of domestic violence and other unsavory contributions to their communities.
They're purely just like white trash crossbred with a frat boy.
Right. Why Monsters though? Is that the drink of choice, or is that just part of the stereotype?
Well, it's part of the stereotype because you see a lot of them. They got the Monster symbol like on their trucks or what the fuck ever.
I've seen that. Yeah, they probably have the truck.
Like, why would you brand that of anything? I mean, yes, I have Batman and Wonder Woman and Gravestone Press and all this other. I got those stickers on my car. Yeah. Those are entities that don't belong to me. But
they mean something to you.
I don't have Captain Crunch on my fucking car, and I love Captain Crunch.
I feel sorry
for
the roof.
Fago plastered like right next to my license plate. Like, that's going to be a good idea. Okay.
Well, okay. Of all the cereal brands you chose, Captain Crunch, what other questionable dietary brands would you throw up on your lifted truck?
Dude, if there's an unhealthy cereal out there, I've had it and I love it. Like, I cycle through all the most unhealthy things I can find on the cereal aisle.
If you had to get it as a tattoo, would it be Captain Crunch?
If I had to get a tattoo, I'd probably get Boo Berry.
Boo Berry?
Yeah, I like Boo Berry.
But that only comes around during Halloween.
His little fin hat or whatever he has.
Yeah.
Pork pie hat. No, it's not. Maybe it is a pork pie hat.
It could be. I guess I'd have to look it up. You mentioned Gravestone Press. For those not in the know, and I'm sure most people that would find this video would know about it, but you want to give us a little byline on that?
Oh yeah, Gravestone Press was made by. It was started by Doug Garrett. It's run by Doug Garrett. It is completely his entity, but he is working towards helping publishing other creators underneath his imprint as well, because he wants to see everybody else, get better and grow as well.
And he's an indie guy.
Yeah, he's an indie guy, but he actually cares about other indies. He doesn't just claim he does. He takes action. He's actually helped a lot of folk. He just helped 6 Scale Combat. Not only did he manage the campaign for it, but Doug's also fulfilling the book. Doug didn't write anything for this book. He had nothing to do with the ash can, with the book itself. Not a single, but his friend, needed his help in that regard, and that's what he did. And honestly, some people may see this as an insult. I wouldn't. It's just constructive criticism. But a lot of you guys suck at running campaigns. You need to find somebody who knows how to do that shit, because artists are the worst salesmen in the world.
You got to keep them pencil to paper.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, like a lot of these guys, like they get so humble, they don't want to talk about their stuff, or they they get too scared. They're like, I don't want to keep bugging this guy about streaming about my book. And I'm like, do it, man. That's how you got to get your foot in the door. You have to be aggressive when you go in sales. And a lot of artists just it's not a knock against them. It's just a reality.
Yeah, that's one thing I always told people that I mentored was you should never be afraid of success.
No.
And whatever that means to you, that means, at some point you got to go out and get it. Now, what Doug's doing with Six Scale, which is come together with their Napalm Brothers book, it's called.
Yeah, he was actually did a stream. I popped in with him. You did one too when he was bagging and boarding, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's doing another one.
I just saw you on the phone now.
Yeah, I was there when Tim showed up.
But yeah, he has nothing to do with this book. So he ran the campaign for Six Scale. He's fulfilling the book for him too, which is a lot of work. And it's shipping on time. It's going out, without a hitch.
And it was kind of a smaller campaign too. This was Six's first attempt at a book, and the campaign ran for a certain amount of days. It's met its goal, and then some, I believe, didn't it?
Yeah. And it's crazy, man. I mean, I know it didn't make a lot of money, but Doug he admits this too. I hope Doug doesn't mind me saying this. But a lot of indie creators, it does shoot yourself in the foot when you want to lower the price of your book because books are expensive.
Yeah.
And Doug, for his books, it was only $10. That's with domestic shipping. So it's not $10 plus shipping. That's just straight up $10. That's it.
That's pretty big.
And that's paying for the shipping, the Gemini mailer that Doug uses. And by the way, if any indie creator out there is like, oh man, those Gemini mailers, I just couldn't afford them. Dude, if you buy over 100 of them, they're less than 50 cents a piece. So
right.
Any indie creator who says that is effectively telling you that his customer is not worth a 45-cent investment.
So and Gemini mailers are not something very hard to get a hold of.
No, they're not hard to get a hold of. You can buy them in bulk. They get really cheap. I think you can get over, what was it? It was like 100 of them for like between $50 and $60.
Wow, that's not bad at all. And I think they got over 100 backers too, didn't they?
Yeah.
So there's your 50 cents a book right there at 100 backers.
But yeah, he charged $10 for the book, and that included the price for the printing process as well. So they're really not making any money off of the book.
Well, do you know how this whole thing
is getting stuff out there?
Do you know how that whole arrangement got started? Was that Six saying he had a book that he wanted to draw, or was that Doug going to him? How do you know that genesis?
Six was as far as I know, I may be wrong, so don't quote me on this. But as far as I know, Six was working on the book already, and he knew he couldn't do the campaign and all this other stuff, and
because he's outside of the continental U.S. presumably.
Yeah, but Six's book is just a one-man show. I mean, besides the Ashcan, Six wrote the book, he did the art for it, he lettered it, he colored it. That's all him.
Wow. So really, he's only got to split the profits with Doug, really.
Yeah.
Shipping.
And Doug does take a small cut, but running a campaign and fulfilling a book, that does take time, and people's time is worth money.
Yeah, and if it weren't for Doug, then that Conus shipping, I doubt Six Scale would have been able to do that from wherever he's at.
Yeah, and from all that work that Doug did, if for instance, say they made $1,000, Doug would get $200.
Yeah. Well, I think more importantly, the book got some attention from certain bigger names in the indie scene. They called it a spite book, in fact.
Yeah. This is a spite campaign. Everybody who backed it was just backing it to spike EBS. Like, everything has to be about this guy.
Right. I mean, no matter how big your boat is, if the ocean's big enough, you can avoid the wake of anything coming by you.
Yeah, he had no reason to anyways. This book was not a threat whatsoever. He just wanted to make a statement. And I think it was actually an effort to intimidate a bunch of other indie creators. Because, if I were anybody else looking at him, pointing out, Doug's campaign, or Doug and Six's campaign, and be like, this is a spike campaign, saying that to his huge growing fan base. I would be a little scared, like I'd be like, what if he does this to my campaign and it fucking tanks? I better get in line.
Well, you got a campaign coming, is that right?
Yeah, I do.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's Otis Stein. It's based on an original short prose story that I wrote for Ashcan Comics Pub about a year ago. But it's about this lady Mary and her farmer husband Otis. At some point, Otis is messing around trying to make some moonshine. He gets blown up, and Mary ends up sewing them back together, and shenanigans ensue.
So he's a Frankenstein-ish kind of character?
Yeah. Effectively, this is my love letter to like the old Universal monster movies. Like, I loved B-movie horror growing up. I watched the hell out of it when I was a kid.
The old black and white stuff?
Yeah, especially like the Universal stuff. Like, I'm a really big Lon Chaney fan, and Lon Chaney Jr. is good too. But like, you're watching stuff like Frankenstein, or my favorite one is The Invisible Man, to be completely honest, because that movie was just off its damn rocker. Like, when the guy turns invisible and he goes insane, it's just hilarious. Like, he's dangerous, yeah, but the way he does things. But I never read the original. I think that was based on Lovecraft's story. And Kenneth
H.G. Wells, I think.
Maybe it was I think it was H.G. Wells.
Yeah,
that's right. It was one of those.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. My favorite was always the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, so, really. Yeah, that one had a lot of sequels too, and they weren't very good.
Yeah,
getting them in captivity in a zoo at one point. That one was actually pretty funny. Then they set him on fire
again. Yeah, too bad about that Dark Universe thing that they were trying to set up with Tom Cruise and the Mummy.
Tom Cruise killed it.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise killed it because he's Tom fucking Cruise, and he walks on set and he demands that they do rewrites to the script and all of this other stupid shenanigans. And they can't.
It's funny because he's illiterate. He has to have somebody read his scripts for him.
I don't think he's illiterate. I think he's just like so far up his ass. He's like, oh, pish posh. I shouldn't have to read.
I have an assistant for that.
Do it. Put on my socks.
So Otis Stein, it's a love letter to Universal. It's your project. So you're just writing it? Do you have an artist lined up already?
Yeah. I've got an artist, Carlos. I retweet his stuff here pretty often on my Twitter. I don't remember his handle right off. But yeah, he's been going through it. We just wrapped up on page 10. So now we've got 14 more to go. We're almost at that halfway point. And before the campaign even launches, the book will be done. It will be formatted, lettered, yada, yada, yada. All I'll have to do is send it off to get printed. And that's what we are funding.
So get it printed, get it shipped to your place. And are you going to ship it yourself too?
Well, no, I think Doug will probably end up fulfilling it. So it'll just be a $10 buy-in, domestic shipping. That's it.
So is this going to be your first project, or is this not the first time you've done?
It'll be my first solo project that I was the head of. Like, I had complete creative control. I have done other stuff, of course. Like I said, I've been published with Ashcan Comics Pub a few times. They posted numerous of my short 3-page prose stories, like 700 words. I really feel like that helped me with comics too, because now, like, having to write a story in 3 pages is incredibly difficult, because you have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So to get it to where you could knock out an entire story, start to close, no loose ends, nothing, in 3 pages just really helped me, because now, like, when a comic comes, I'm cutting out a lot of fat that I don't even need in there. And I never would have realized it had I not practiced and did something that was uncomfortable with the 3-page stories. But I was published through them. I also wrote and lettered the Ashcan, the Banjo Man Ashcan for Legends of the Lone Wolf, which has art by 6 Scale Combat.
Nice.
I've also done other work, some of it uncredited. I've helped people format books. I've done lettering for stories. I've lettered 2 stories in Legends of the Lone Wolf. I ended up helping Doug by designing the cover pages to split up the stories. Yeah, I do everything except art and coloring.
Are you trying to learn art too?
I want to. I really don't have a lot of time. If I had more free time, I could sit down and practice drawing, but normally my life is so hectic. That's why I don't stream on YouTube very often either. It's just crazy. Unpredictable work schedules, all kinds of shenanigans. But I do want to work to that point. I have noticed a place where I'm driving to work that it actually says art lessons outside. I'm like, I need to call them.
So, have comic books always been something in your life, or has this been a hobby for you? How did you end up deciding that you were going to help all these people get books out?
Well, I've always been into comic books since I was a kid. Like I used to read Pitt, a lot of Image stuff. I really didn't get too much into Marvel though. I mean, I read some Moon Knight back in the day, but I didn't like the Spider-Mans and all that. It's not that I think they're bad characters. They just, I don't know. Just going into it at that point in time, it was so overwhelming. Because this was like characters, just like, decades upon decades of backstory. Nearly
couldn't keep up with the continuity then.
Yeah.
That was a big problem for me too, because I actually started reading manga before I ever got to an American comic, and I decided I wanted to start reading, like, say, Batman. So I look at the publication history going back to the 70s, and none of it made sense in any kind of context.
No.
And I had to find out that, different writers take the character in different directions. Batman's book wasn't called Batman; it was called Detective Comics. But there are Batman books, there are Elseworlds, and other continuities and things. I think that's, one of the better parts of American comics, but also it's a double-edged sword, for
Plus, on top of that, while I was a kid, there was Batman the Animated Series. There was the Amazing Spider-Man. They even had a Silver Surfer one that was like aired for like 1 season.
Yeah.
So like all those characters, when I went into a comic shop, I'm like, fuck, Spider-Man, I could watch that shit at home. I want something new. I want somebody that's not on Spider-Man.
Who are all these characters in the background, or the crossover guys? Yeah, like Moon Knight, I didn't even know about until, I was patrolling one of the boards for comics, and it's like, oh, who's Marvel's answer to Batman? And they're saying Moon Knight, and I look into that, and that's pretty interesting.
And he's not. Like, if anybody says, like, Moon Knight is just like a generic Batman, you are wrong, sir.
Yeah, I mean, there are
whole similarities. Like, he is a rich playboy, but he's got the whole DIDD or whatever they call it, the disassociated
identity disorder.
Yeah, DID.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got that, and he actually does kill people. There's one notable part where his arch nemesis, the Bushman, he ends up just like cutting off the dude's face.
Yep.
With one of his little moon batarangs things. So, I mean, there are similarities, but if you go that route, you can always say, well, this character's like this, and yada, 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 and it goes on forever.
Yeah, and there's so many different characters, so many different universes even.
But their orders are different, too. His parents didn't die, and that's what made him become Moon Knight. He was a fucking mercenary. He got shot on some trip down to Egypt.
Then he stumbled upon what he thought was an Egyptian god at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different from Batman.
Very different. But on the surface level, there is a similarity. That's how you can tell who's actually read Moon Knight. Is if they say, oh, he's just like Batman. Anybody who's read Moon Knight knows that he's not.
Well, I think one of the panels I remember seeing was somebody asking Moon Knight, why do you wear white? They'll know you're coming. And then Moon Knight sort of replies, that's what I want.
Yeah, I want them to see me coming. Yeah, he does all kinds of crazy shit like that. And that's what I love about him. He's just batshit crazy, and that's why I fell in love with that character. And it's not crazy like Deadpool is. Like I like Deadpool. I especially liked it when who was writing it? Joe Kelly? I don't know. When Joe Kelly, I think on it, I really enjoyed Deadpool, but after that, it just got too crazy, too outlandish, too cartoon, too self-aware.
Chimichangas and the food humor and stuff like that. I think food humor is like the surest sign you're reading an SJW comic book.
Yeah, the joke has been worn out. The horse is dead. Stop beating it, for Christ's sake. I do like that they're doing Deadpool movies, though.
Yeah, both of those are pretty decent.
It's like same shit, different issue. But no, Moon Knight wasn't like that, though. He was crazy, but he wasn't cartoony. There was still depth to his story. There was still depth development within the character itself. Even like the last run, I think that's the most recent run was Max Bemis on Moon Knight. He actually created a new villain for him called Ra, and it's this guy who's been, possessed by Ra. So he has Ra's the god of the sun. So this guy's got like fire powers.
Sun and moon. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Ra and Khonshu is supposed to be the son of Ra, so there was that dynamic as well. It's excellent. Kind of shit the bed the last two issues, but.
So do you still read Marvel comics on a weekly basis then?
No, I'm not reading.
Just keeping up with Moon Knight.
I mean, if I hear of a good Moon Knight run, I'm running my happy ass down to the comic shop and buy that. I'm not boycotting anybody. I'm just not buying books right now because I'm too busy paying to have my book made.
Yeah.
I don't endorse boycotts to that degree. Like, yeah, you don't like this handful of writers for these companies. Why fuck the whole company? Who cares? Just don't buy those books. Be done with it. I don't.
Well, the name of your channel is the Needle Movers Society. Is that a reference to comic shops?
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of people don't believe me for whatever reason, but I've been in comics from like the get-go, man. And when Move the Needle happened, it was such a beautiful thing. I hate to sound too much like I'm romanticizing it, but
well, sure.
It was really cool because you saw all these people flood to Twitter just immediately. They were going out to comic shops and they were buying books that they thought were cool. And then they were doing the hashtag Move the Needle. For once, everybody wasn't fucking bitching at one another. And then I guess somebody realized that they can't make super chat money off of Move the Needle, so they decided like fuck this shit. But well, it was great.
The super chats and moving the needle and stuff. You might be talking about one Richard C. Meyer.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, I'll admit the reason I found Comicsgate was Richard C. Meyer. That's how I found all this stuff. And I still watch his videos once in a while. He's got something to say, I think, most of the time.
I started watching Cummings, and then he kind of led me to Richard. And then, of course, Richard led me to EBS, which, kind of makes me feel like an idiot. But I thought he was pretty cool and good for the movement when he first came around. And eventually, all the pieces kind of fell into place. And I was like, hey, now. I'm like off of Scooby-Doo. I'm like pulling the mask off this fucking head, and it's an SJW in disguise.
What do you think the turning point was? How did we go from moving the needle and supporting comic shops to all of a sudden everything's on super chats, and we had sort of a favoritist, elitist kind of line that got blurred between creator and the fan in our little circle? EVS? Well, you liked him at first. Was there something in particular he did?
Well, I didn't notice these things at first, but when he first came around, that's when Move the Needle just kind of fucking died out. Like, nobody was cared. Everybody was rushing to his channel, and he was like fucking cutting the heads off of Rose Tico dolls and all this other stupid fucking shit.
The Star Wars videos.
Yeah. And then he was having streams and he was like lying about what he said to Tim Lim. He was like, I told all these guys to not make Trump books. And then and then afterwards, I let Tim know. I was like, hey, EBS mentioned you on his stream. He said he spoke to you. That's pretty cool if you know him. Why doesn't he want you to make Trump books? And Tim's like, what the fuck? I never talked to that guy. I don't even know him. And then you had that stream. I forget the date, but they came on stream and Tim's like, I got the transcripts. That's why they call him Transcript Tim, because it's bad when Tim has transcripts, but when EBS goes on his stream, he's like, I got the transcripts right here. Apparently, one's alpha and one's not. Anyways, that's when I knew something was afoot. I started paying more attention. His cult fan club, whatever the fuck they are, just went completely fucking bonkers, and I was just nope the fuck out. I was like, I can't let this shit be a reflection of my own stuff. Like, I say stupid shit on Twitter. I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't really have any loyalties, but at the end of the day, I'm always representing only myself. Somebody can't look at somebody else's actions like EBS and say, hey, they're doing this stupid, crazy shit, sending dildo memes to people because they have no lives, and you identify with that. No.
Well, not only identify, but at some point it seemed to be encouraged.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But like I said, I'm not responsible for other people's actions, and I refuse to be. Everybody's their own person. I don't do this gay op shit. I just want to hang out and make books and have fun.
So you would point it all back to when Tim Lim and EBS had a falling out, as it were, or perhaps just some friction between them if they had not known each other before that. And that came along with the transcripts. And I think the one thing I kept hearing over and over again was something about a glove.
Oh, yeah, because Tim was like, this is really stupid. And it's hilarious when you think about it's an Asian doing this shit, too. I guess Tim leaked some DMs, some screen grabs of a DMs chat, and it really wasn't anything terrible. But he was leaking those, and I guess they wanted him to prove that they were real or something like that. So they were he was like, well, what do you want me to do? And then somebody was like, well, wear a glove and take a picture of that next to the DMs. I guess they wanted to make sure it wasn't Photoshop.
Right.
So he did it, and he took a picture with the glove. And yeah, it's kind of stupid, but
and Tim is somebody who's got
shared screenshots. If you've got evidence that somebody's a sack of shit behind the scenes, that's what the Democrats do. I hate to get political, but just for a moment,
Feel
all
free.
those Hillary emails leaked, and instead of being she said all this fucked up shit, it's probably a good idea if people know about this because they're going to elect this fucking person for president. But instead of doing that, they're like, oh, the person who leaked these emails is the real bad guy here. And they completely changed the narrative. It wasn't about... Yeah. So, if anybody ever comes out with, screens of a DM of me being a dick, good for you, I guess. But
I've got an inbox full of evidence of that from you, actually.
Yeah, you do. But the answer to that is if you're never that big of a dick and you never say one thing in the public and you say something completely different in private, you'll never have to worry about that. Just be honest. I am. You look at any DM I fucking have, the same stupid motherfucker anywhere I am.
All this stuff with the indie comics and this feuding and the super chats, and we started this Comicsgate thing, if it is Comicsgate for a lot of people, in that supporting the comic shops because nobody had books yet. EBS didn't have Cyberfrog at this point, or it was gestating or something. But we started with, well, we all love comic books and we don't want them to die out or disappear from the shelves, so we're going to support the local comic books. Then at some point, it became, well, there's a lot of people doing this indie crowdfunding thing and they're putting out books. We don't need the comic shops anymore. For me personally, I don't ever want to, read comic books and think, well, I can't pick up a Spider-Man, Superman, or Batman book. Say what you will about the quality of the titles, but those characters are timeless. If we lose the comic industry, we lose, printed versions of those characters. That is not a end state I want to be a part of.
Well, that's another reason, like towards the end when I was starting to, come out of the cult, brainwashing behind EVS.
You were brainwashed?
Well, I was fooled. I was bushwhacked.
Sure.
You
almost say that with some measure of regret and embarrassment. This was a pretty important thing to you then.
It's not something you like to admit that happened. Like, hey, I trusted Charles Manson. I thought he was a really cool guy. And then I saw him in the paper.
Well, let me stop right there. Are you saying Ethan Van Sciver is Charles Manson?
Well, no, I'm just that's just an extreme comparison. But no, it's not something it's not something that's easy to admit that, you were gullible enough to believe this fucking big hunk of shit. Nobody wants to admit that. I think that's why a lot of people stick in it too.
Well, I'll admit I backed Cyberfrog. I liked Ethan's art a lot, and I've tuned into his live streams quite a bit, and I super chatted him. Way back when the original Cyberfrog came up. I don't feel the same sort of embarrassment per se, but I mean, I understand where you're coming from because this is something we all wanted to see succeed. And there, like I said earlier, we reached a point where the line between creator and fan got blurred, and people that weren't creators, or people that were creators, were the ones running the show when it was originally Consumer Revolt.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, like towards the end of me, like, finally deciding I was done with him, he jumped up somebody's ass because they were saying that, Comicsgate was supposed to be about saving the industry, keeping comic shops open. And EVS flat out just jumped up their fucking ass and they're like, fuck them all, yada, yada, yada. And so I wrote in and I was like, yo, dude, that's not what Comicsgate was about. And this person was here way before you, dude. Like, if anybody knows what it's about, it's them.
Well, I think that was.
You just don't understand Comicsgate. She's just wrong. And I was like, well, how are they wrong? And then he couldn't come up with a good enough answer. And I was like, see, well, you're a fuckhead. He told me to shut up, grab an oar, and row. I was like, hey, get the fuck out. You want to kill comic shops. That's not what I'm about at all. I love my comic shop. I'm good friends with the comic shop owner. I hang out with the guy. He lets me do signings for free at his fucking shop.
Yeah, we weren't gonna row the oar for John Malin and Cyberfrog.
They can row their own fucking oar. They were established in the industry and they were ostracized because they voted for Trump or whatever. Except in reality, they were kicked out of the industry because they're fucking turds. Nobody wanted to work with them.
That, and it's the way you present it, it's almost as if, how dare you suggest we support something other than my Indiegogo efforts? Yeah. My Cyberfrog campaign. Why are you buying a Spider-Man book when you could be buying Graveyard Shift? Almost seemed to be the attitude that camp had at some points.
I want people to buy my book, but I'm not going to go to those means to try to manipulate people. And it's all manipulation, man. It's all this outrage shit. He's got people convinced that he's fighting some kind of fucking culture war. What war? The only war he's fighting is with the fucking feds, man. As far as the IRS is concerned, he's trying to get out of paying taxes. That's the only war he's fighting right now. You're just lining his pockets with money. It's not going anywhere. It's not changing the industry. It has no effect on the SJWs that are out there. What you're doing is basically just throwing money away. If you're backing this man because you think you're fighting a culture war, you're not. The culture war starts with you. And it doesn't involve being a shitbag and trolling SJWs.
Well, I don't think there's any anti-SJW themes in Cyberfrog, to say the least.
No.
Maybe his live streams are
There's
anti-SJW.
not any theme at all in Cyberfrog. It wasn't a good book. It wasn't. I could have wrote a better book. I would have done it for free, and he could have kept all his fucking money.
Ugh.
And people would have gotten a better story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, from what I'm getting out of this is you feel pretty strongly about all this happenings and goings on here.
Yeah, I just have a severe allergy to bullshit.
And there's been a lot of it recently.
Yeah, and this goes with anything, comics, politics, whatever. If it's bullshit, I start getting hives, I get angry, I start yelling about
it. Do you, of all the campaigns you've been involved with, what's been your favorite?
I gotta say my favorite's working with Doug on Legends. Like, I don't know, Doug's just an awesome guy. I can't speak highly of him enough.
Space Doug.
I've worked with really good artists. I've worked with really bad artists. I've worked with really crazy artists. I've worked with artists who take your money and don't do anything. I've worked with them all, but my favorite is working with Doug because he's a fellow writer for one, and for two, we're both on that same wavelength as far as books go. We've both been musicians, so we have this band mentality where you got to make sacrifices. You're not gonna just up and start a band and immediately start getting paid like $300 a show and stuff like that. It's not. In fact, we both understand that doing indie books is a lot like doing a band. And right now, we're paying out of pocket for gas money just to drive to this show. And we're not going to make anything back.
Load all the equipment up in the van.
Yeah, we'll make less than the gas that we put in. And that's okay. We're fine with that. We're happy. We're doing this as a hobby because we're passionate about it. We don't have dollar signs in our eyes. Though, if you want to send us $1 million, we accept cash, credit, or personal check.
Well, you'd have to have somebody in the industry write something mean about you on Twitter before those super chats came in.
I don't think that's going to happen. I get along with most people in the industry. There's a few faces lately that have kind of, I guess, they drank the Kool-Aid. The only creators that have actually been mean to me were all involved in Comicsgate. It's kind of strange.
Have you been on the receiving end of a dildo meme?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've even done like Photoshop shit of my wife's tweets, making it look like she was claiming she had a dick or whatever. You can say what you want. The one thing that really just kind of depresses me about the whole thing is I insult myself better than these guys. Like, if you can't do better than me, then why even try? Like, I get this stuff really, it does not get to me at all. I poke fun at myself, you know.
What did you think of the song that EVS came under fire for? I don't really want to say the words to it, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Daddy can't forcefully copulate us all.
Yeah. And, you know, that brings me to another thing I like discussing is Cecil's presence.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Cecil started off as just some guy with a YouTube channel. And
I don't know why he has got the amount of popularity he does. I think it's just because he sounds like a really gay Dom DeLuise, and he's always drunk.
And that's an admirable character trait.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know, I could pop on streams talking like Hank Hill, and you know,
damn it, Bobby.
Really huh?
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, boy.
That comic book ain't right. Yeah, that
cocaine accessories.
I guess that's my biggest frustration with the whole thing is it was a consumer thing. It was the fans, and then the creators came in and took it over. They were big fish, and they found a little pond,
They
and they were
monetized the
invasive.
hashtag. That's what happened. Same thing happened again. They monetized the hashtag.
Yeah. Send me super chats. We're under attack by Gail Simone. She's the most frightening thing I've ever encountered on the internet.
Yeah, she is.
Her
I
and
mean,
her
I don't
future
agree with
colors.
any politics. I don't agree with. I think guys, even Max Bimis, hopping on Twitter and saying like all these people can eat my ass. I think it's highly inappropriate. But at the
That's
same
where
time,
Nasser got his fame from.
yeah. And Nasser was a real just shit lord back then. He's grown up a lot. He doesn't do it so often anymore. But I think at one point, even I told him, I'm like, man, why don't you just tone it down? You keep going out looking for stupid fights so you can just like zing them really good. Like at some point it gets old. Like let's focus on comic books.
Are you a fan of Nasser's writing?
Yeah, I like Nasser. I would consider him a good friend.
Do you like his writing?
Yeah, I enjoy his writing. I haven't read his novels though because I don't know how to read. I do comics because I can look at the pictures
and figure out what the words are supposed to be.
Yeah. Not so many big words. But yeah, he's a good writer, and I like what he's doing. I like the mentality that he has. He gets his books done on time.
Get some shipped.
Yeah, and he gets them shipped. He doesn't cheap out on shipping. Like if you haven't noticed, a lot of these pros will like send your book out, and like Richard C. Meyer, I got this thing that was like made out of recycled cardboard. I don't know what it was, but it felt like sandpaper.
And then it was just the book inside the cardboard.
Yeah, and even Cyberfrog wasn't shipped in a Gemini mailer either. A lot of these books weren't, and it amazes me that the guys who make 6 fucking figures can't even afford a Gemini mailer, but at the same time you got Nasser doing that with his little books, or Doug doing that with his little books too. It's crazy. You would think the more money, the higher the quality would go, as far as service, distribution, shipping, everything. You think that would just gravitate up? You're like, hey, this dude just made damn near $1 million on this fucking book. This book should be like a piece of artwork at this point, and it's not. They cheap out on every fucking, like I said, 45 cents. I bet you those guys could have bought in bulk on Gemini mailers enough to where they probably would have paid about 13 cents for each mailer. And they were already charging $10 or $15 shipping.
Right.
Think about it.
13. Well, on that note, I think it's interesting that Richard C. Meyer, his first effort, Jawbreakers, he hit what, $425,000?
Yeah.
And
he's gone lower and lower since then. Like, did you see the Expendables campaign? The Expendables Go to Hell. He even had fucking Sylvester Stallone attached to it.
Right.
And he did not replicate his numbers for Jawbreakers. That should tell you something. The numbers aren't there. The fan base is dwindling. War Campaign ran them all off.
Well, I think it wasn't backing Jawbreakers #1. It wasn't just getting a book. It was being a part of something. That's why there was 10,000 backers to that thing.
Yeah, I ended up. I got it. I never got my Hasashi print poster though. Never fucking got it. I emailed the fucking guy. Never got a reply. Not a goddamn thing.
Right. But then we see, this watershed moment of Sylvester Stallone is continuing a film franchise in a comic book with RCM, but it made what, 250,000, something like that?
Yeah. Made less than half of what Jawbreakers did.
Do you think he had a moment and lost it?
Well, of course he lost it. Dude, he cultivated his fan base by sitting there and calling out pros for their despicable behavior in person and on Twitter towards fans.
And then he left Twitter.
EVS comes on the scene, and suddenly Richard is silent. He stops streaming. He stops bringing up bad behavior. Like, he used to talk about these, what do you call them, behavior portfolios or whatever, about people engaging, creators engaging with fans and everything. And then he just dropped all of that as soon as EBS really started shitting the bed hard. And he uncomfortably silent. And then people are realizing that the man claimed to have principles he does not have. If he did, friend or foe, you would call him out. If you were, I've called out a few of my friends on Twitter. I thought something they were doing was pretty shitty. I've called John De La Rosa dick probably at least 24 times over the course of 2 years on Twitter publicly for being a dick. I still think he was being a dick at the time. We've talked about it. We're still cool. But I'm not going to go silent. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice my principles over some, like, even a friend. Like, principles are everything. That's the one thing you carry with you from when you're born to when you die.
You could throw $1 against a set of principles and have it stand up. And it should stand up after that. But the second you throw money around and people start, changing what they were. I remember Richard Myers' thing was, oh, well, I want to put some distance between me and the fan. You built your audience off of interacting with the fans in a good way.
Yeah.
That's why people showed up to buy your book, and now you're too good to talk to your fans. You don't live stream anymore.
Well, a lot of his fans have also been attacked by his good buddy Ethan Van Sciver. I know Jeremy Turner has been attacked. Sashi has been attacked. Tim Lim has been attacked. Nasser's been attacked. Everybody, every single one of them. And he's still dead silent on the despicable behavior going on.
I don't think he's ever weighed in on the dildo memes.
And he won't. He probably deep down doesn't like it, but he's too scared to say anything, either because EBS has control of the war chest for that fucking stupid ass lawsuit against Mark Wade, which, this guy kept me from signing a contract and making, $12,000 on this comic book. But instead, I ended up making nearly $1 million. I suffered so much. The judge's going to take one look at it. It's going to be like, dude, you got to prove financial loss, and you did nothing but gain because of this.
So you think that was going to get thrown out?
I hope it does, because honestly, like, I'm 100% for going through legal means. I'm not saying what Mark Wade did was right, but you can't be a sane, rational person and look at me and saying that him getting canceled from Antarctic Press and then raising over $500,000 for his book, or how much ever he made it. I know it was over $450,000. He raised that much because of what Mark Wade did. What Mark Wade did not hurt him financially. Ask Tim Lim how much money he makes on his books through Antarctic Press.
Not comparable, I'm guessing.
Fucking shit. The dude, Tim, puts out multiple books a year. If he was actually making good money from Antarctic Press, he probably wouldn't be working, but he's still a working doctor right now. Think about that. He's not making dick. But Richard C. Meyer over here just made over $500,000 with one campaign. One.
Yeah, right. Well, he built his audience.
He can't prove damages. He can prove that Mark Wade did something wrong. I'm sure of that. But the thing is for him to claim what he's claiming, there has to be damages. There's not.
Well, and when that all happened, that's also when Rekieta came onto the scene. Mm-hmm. I remember being on a Rekieta stream when there was like maybe 80 people watching. And he was grabbing up super chats as they came in. And it wasn't a big deal. He was even interviewing like Antonio Bryce, who, he's not a 6-figure guy. He's, his latest campaign has barely broke 5 figures. But, Rekieta was a small thing. And then this is only tangentially related to Comicsgate. But then this Vic Mignogna thing happened. And people that
God, don't tell me we're getting into the weeb wars. I hate weebs.
I only want to glance by it, but talking about super chats, Ricada gets more super chats than anybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
I don't.
and we
I
went
haven't
from
really.
just fans, enjoying stuff to all of a sudden the biggest news that Umbrella Guy and other people were putting out was a voice actor going through a sexual harassment lawsuit. That's not what I got into this for.
No.
That's the most boring thing I've ever seen. People will throw their money around for that subject and others.
I mean, if any wrong was done to Vic, I'm sorry, but that's not my battle. I mean,
yeah, I just thought it was so absurd. Like, there's probably 1,000 voice actors out there. There's probably more than just Vic Mignogna going through some kind of sexual harassment lawsuit. But this is the one that we're finding out about and we're hearing about every day. And it drives me nuts. Did I lose you?
No, you did not.
Okay.
But wasn't the creator of the Max homeless?
The what?
Like the Max. He was homeless.
What is the Max?
You don't know the Max from Image?
No.
They're not in order. What the hell? Oh, wait, no. The Max.
I have never seen that before in my life.
You are not familiar with the Max?
No. Where are you going with this?
But the creator, or one of the guys who worked on it, maybe he's the creator of Pit. He was fucking homeless, man. Like, he was living in a car with his wife. They bought a house, and it had to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word because I'm in. Yeah, Loebs. Bill Messner Loebs. He was fucking homeless. And nobody gave two shits. They even did this little benefit campaign, and it really didn't even break 5 figures. And it was sad. And that's one thing where you could be like, this guy is wrong. This is one of the guys who's done a comic book that has made a tremendous impact on the industry as a whole. But fuck him. He can stay homeless. We're not going to do super chats for this guy. We're going to do it for this weeb guy who, I don't know, decided to start a lawsuit.
Right. Vic Mignogna. Somebody, I'm mostly on Vic's side because from what I've seen of him, he seems all right. But, his fans want nothing to do with him. I can't go near a Ricada stream.
Yeah, and I don't do the Ricada thing either. I can't comment too much about the guy because I'm going to have to say I hate internet lawyers with a passion. I don't know. I grew up, my mom was always watching this fucking law shit and all this shenanigans, and I just don't want any part of it.
It's a lot of shenanigans.
I'm grown up. That doesn't have to be on the TV or on the YouTubes anymore. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I brought it up because, that's the guy that's getting the biggest super chats. UVS is still getting a lot of super chats. And it seems to be one of the biggest things in indie comics outside of the actual printed pages that we hold in our hands. It's getting these voices out there, getting these opinions heard, and they fall in line. People send super chats just to, just to be a part of something.
Yeah. Like I said, it's manipulation, man. It's not so bad on the people who are what you would call the victims of this manipulation. The worst part about it is the one doing it. And he's getting all these people riled up and convincing them he's fighting a culture war. Or all he is doing is milking their fucking tits for money. That's it. But he's got everybody convinced that, they're fighting some stupid ass holy war.
Well, and he's not afraid to turn that apparatus on to people that, he doesn't like. We talked about this before we came on, but the sympathy super chats, the emotionally charged money coming in over the next couple days is going to be Kyle Ritter and Mike Miller's thing going on right now.
Yeah. I don't know too much about that. From what I understand is that they had a deal where after the book was fulfilled that Kyle would get paid. And right now Mike is waiting on Kyle to send him the colored pages so he can send them to print and fulfill the book. I don't know how much of that is true or not. I really haven't looked into it because I don't have any disdain towards Kyle Ritter. I think he's an amazing colorist. I just don't pay attention to him because he's always on books by people I don't fucking like. And then Mike Miller, I like him, but Mike's kind of an idiot. He has very, very, very poor judgment. I hope he's not praying for every decision because God's definitely fucking with him. I think he's a good guy at heart. I like some of the things he says. He seems like a pretty nice, funny guy. But again, he's kind of like the Mr. Magoo of indie comics. And I hope if he even ever sees this, he doesn't hate me for saying that. But man, come on. I'm just going by what I see.
I really like Mike too a lot. You know, I think he steps on his own dick a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's Mr. fucking Magoo. Mr.
He makes a lot of mistakes, and you know, make one campaign, deliver that. I don't care if you're waiting on somebody to color it. You know, draw the next book if you must, but don't launch it until you got your first one in people's hands.
Well, it was like when he was like he was a mod on Nerdrotics.
Oh, that was the lowest point in his YouTube career.
And that's one thing. That's why I mean, like, Mike's just like Mr. Magoo. Like, I really feel for him, but at the same time, like, I just want to grab him by the shoulders and shake the hell out of him and be like, just stop. Whatever you think is a good idea or the best thing to do in this situation, do the opposite of that. Please, for the love of God, just stop. You will succeed. You just got to stop with the shenanigans.
I want to recount this for anyone that watches this, but the Nerdrotic thing was Mike Miller had a wrench on Nerdrotic's channel, and Mike hadn't shown up for however long, and all of a sudden he pops in. He's like, bless this mess. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, he popped in and he was like, hey, back this book. And Nerdrotic was like, I didn't ask you to put that in there. I'm not endorsing this book. I really don't appreciate you doing that without asking me first. And then he took Mike's wrench away.
Rightfully so.
Bad Mike.
I think another thing that you can criticize Mike for is you can't run a business on favors.
No, you can't. But I don't want to shit on Mike too much. Like I said, he's a good guy. He needs an advisor.
Yeah, that's supposed to be Edwin, presumably.
Edwin's sleeping on the job. I think Edwin's too concerned with Corona right now, which I like Edwin.
Yeah, and Mike or Edwin, if you're watching this, I hope you take this as criticism from people that want to see you succeed, not people that want to tear you down.
Yeah, I want to see him succeed. He's got some fantastic art, and like I said, he's a nice guy. Please stop making dumb decisions.
Yeah, just help people out without a favor involved. Promote somebody that can't give you anything back in return. Bring people onto Drawn and Cornered that need a shot and they can't do anything for you. Yeah. You don't need your back scratched every time. If it was me, I would just try to help out as many people as I can. I never expect a favor when I do something good for somebody.
Like even with the needle movers, like I've had some guys that are like, they'd offer me like, we'll send you a free copy of the book. I'm like, no. Let me buy it. You don't owe me anything. And they're like incredibly thankful that I let them stream because nobody else would have them on. And they oftentimes had really cool books, but no, not once would I be like, okay, I'm calling in this favor because I streamed with you a while ago. Nobody else would. Remember me.
Well, do this cover for me now, and maybe I'll do a cover for you later. I don't want your cover. I don't like your art style. Well,
Yeah.
I'll do it for you anyway. No, you can't. That favor is not a currency.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but I hope Lone Star 3 does well because all this other stuff. But I'm expecting to see some interesting developments on that front pretty soon. Edwin points this out a lot. Is Comicsgate finds a target and they make it their punching bag, and a bunch of super chats pop out every time they jab this thing. So
yeah, sadly they do.
Yeah,
sadly they do.
But you got Otis Stein coming up, helping out on some other campaigns. Any up and covers you want to point out?
Ixu.
Ixu?
Yeah, he's on Doug's channel a lot. He's doing a short for the Corona King or Kings of Corona, which is, I believe, partially organized by Six Scale Combat and Doug.
Yeah.
He's teaming up with Cassie Blonde. He's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get a piece of my artwork in that book too, actually.
Yeah, and then there's Larry Holder. He's doing Of Time and Space, which is on Kickstarter.
Yeah, that looks really good. I backed that.
Lots of really cool people in there. Really just too many to go through. You'll eventually hear me talk about all of
them. Yeah, Larry Holder's Of Time and Space. Doug's book, Legend of the Lone Wolf, is still funding. I think Saving the World by Tonic Mole is wrapping up pretty soon. And then a project that I'm really excited about, Dragon Guard by Kevin Sharp. Really excited about that one. I got 2 pieces of original art coming from him. Really like his art style. And I think he's almost funded right now. He's going to do great. And Jason Robinson and Nasser are doing Secret Comics Presents.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think Durakin is wrapping up a campaign. I don't think he's successful, but FPS Agent, I think he just launched at the wrong time, but that looked pretty good too.
I hope he tries again.
Yeah,
like I said, some of these guys also just need to hook up with somebody who's good at sales. They really do. It would benefit them a lot. Just not even somebody share the IP credit with or anything like that. Just bring in somebody who knows what they're doing to run your campaign for you. And just basically tell you, okay, you're going here, go to this stream, that stream. They really need agents. And like I said, that's not even me knocking too many indie guys, but there's so many books out there. I'm like, I see you all the time on Twitter, but you never post about your book.
Yeah, you got to stop stepping on your own dick at some point.
Yeah. You got to get aggressive, man. Go out there, get the pussy.
Don't be afraid of being successful.
No, don't. And don't be afraid of failing. You want to fail as much and as quickly as humanly possible. Because I think even Chuck Miller, if you want to draw really well, you got to draw like 1,000 shitty drawings first. So your ultimate goal is to just burn through those 1,000 drawings as quickly as you can. So failure is, what was it? Failed attempt in learning is what
failure is a good teacher.
Failure is an excellent teacher. Never give up. Never surrender.
Absolutely. Well, Skinny, you're my co-host on I Kind of Believe. Everyone, if you like this video, check us out. We talk paranormal stuff over there. Got some interesting topics coming around all the time, and we do wear our tinfoil hats for that one. But Skinny, hey, thanks for coming by and chatting with me, man. I just love talking this indie comic scene and just having a conversation about this stuff.
It is. It's nice. It's kind of therapeutic. So I know some people just see me being salty on Twitter all the time. Maybe once in a while it's good to kind of just
have a drink and bullshit with somebody.
Yeah, and give them a little bit more on the lowdown of why I am the way I am.
Yeah, and without somebody, well, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Hopefully I make this into a series of people just getting their opinion out without being contradicted or challenged on everything.
Oh, you should call this the echo chamber.
The echo chamber. Yeah, that'd be a good one. A drink and an echo. But I'll give you the last word and then I'll close this out, man. Thanks again for being here.
All right. Well, last words, just always support indie books. Find the good creators who have a great track record, working hard, working diligently, and not asking for super chats. If you see super chats, run like hell. Run.
Until they're on my channel, then I'll gladly take them for whatever.
Don't even send to this guy. No.
I'll take your super chat money anytime.
Send the super chats to my P.O. box.
Yeah, Olive Garden gift cards.
I use it to buy my wife a fur coat.
All right, anyone watching this video, thanks for coming by. This has been Skinny, and I am Mecha McCheese over here on Jalapeno Milk. And thanks for coming by. We'll talk to you guys again pretty soon. Later.